The fighter leader, the Orca pod. While the greatest leaders build families, not followings. The pod before the predator. Long before I understood organizational leadership, I understood the ocean. As a young Marine serving as a scout swimmer with the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit, I learned to respect the sea in a way few classrooms could ever teach. The ocean is beautiful without being gentle. It is patient without being passive. It rewards preparation and punishes arrogance. Out there, rank means very little without competence, and confidence means nothing unless discipline stands behind it. The ocean has a way of stripping away illusion. It reveals whether you've prepared. It exposes whether you paid attention. It reminds you that no amount of pride can negotiate with a force much larger than yourself. When you enter the water as a scout swimmer, you understand that courage does not mean ignoring danger. Courage means respecting the danger, preparing for it, and moving forward anyway. You learn to control your breathing, trust your training, and understand your role, and remain calm and connected to the Marines who depend upon you. You may be the one in the water, but you are never truly operating alone. The team is behind you. The mission is bigger than you, and your actions affect everyone connected to the operation. After one mission, we returned to the USS Nashville, our amphibious assault ship. The USS Nassau was nearby, towering over the water. After securing our equipment, we carried our wet gear to the smoke deck to let it dry. It was one of those rare, quiet moments Marines appreciate after completing the mission. As we stood there looking across the water, something enormous surfaced beside the ships. A massive whale slowly rose beneath the surface, took a breath, and disappeared back into the sea. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't intimidated. It simply belonged there. Standing on that ship, I remember looking at the size of that animal compared to two gigantic Navy vessels. Although those ships dwarfed almost everything around them, that whale commanded an entirely different kind of respect. It moved with quiet confidence, completely at home in an environment few humans will ever understand. In that moment, I gained an even deeper respect for the ocean and the incredible creatures that live within it. Years later, after serving as a rifleman, drill instructor, platoon sergeant, on the first sergeant, and finally as a sergeant major, and eventually stepping into business ownership, I realized the ocean had given me the greatest leadership metaphor I would ever discover. The Orca. Most people know the orca by another name, the killer whale. It is the name that captures attention but misses the deeper lesson. The world is fascinated by the orca's strength, its intelligence, speed, and ability to dominate nearly every environment it enters. It is recognized as an apex predator. Yet what fascinated me was never simply its ability to hunt. It was its ability to belong, its ability to communicate, its ability to teach and protect the pod. Everything we admire about the orca's power is connected to something deeper than physical strength. Orcas function as a family. A pod is not simply a collection of animals moving through the water. It is a living community built on relationships, communication, teaching, experiences, and shared responsibility. The strong protect, the experienced teach, the young observe and learn. Knowledge moves from one generation to the next. Survival becomes culture, culture becomes resilience. That is why the orca endures. Not because one dominates, because they belong to one another. And perhaps that is the first lesson every fighter leader must learn. Leadership has never been measured by the strength of one individual. It had always been measured by the strength of the pod. Strength through the pod. Leadership reveals itself in unexpected places, sometimes in a boardroom, sometimes on a battlefield, sometimes in a church, sometimes around the dinner table, sometimes inside a small business fighting to survive, and sometimes, if we are humble enough to notice, leadership reveals itself through the natural world. The orca has earned its reputation as one of the ocean's greatest predators, yet its success cannot be explained by brute strength alone. Its truth and true advantage is social intelligence. Orcas function as families. The pod is not merely a group traveling together. It is a living community built upon communication, memory, discipline, teaching, and shared responsibility. Every member matters. Every organization develops a culture. Every family develops a culture. Every Marine, troop, soldier, airman, or sailor develops a culture. Business develops a culture. Culture is not what hangs on the wall. Culture is what happens when nobody's watching. It is what people tolerate. It is what they correct. It is how they treat the weakest member of the team. It is how they communicate under pressure. Words reveal beliefs. Conversations reveal culture. Culture reveals leadership. Communication is never just a transfer of information. It transfers trust. It transfers standards, purpose, meaning. Marine Corps training taught me that confusion creates hesitation, and hesitation creates failure. The same is true for leadership. Great organizations communicate before problems of crisis arise. Great leaders listen as much as they speak. The fighter leader builds an environment where truth is welcomed, accountability is expected, and every member knows they belong to something greater than themselves. The pod teaches us something powerful. Strength that isolates eventually weakens. Strength that connects endures. Leadership is learned, legacy is given. There is a difference between authority and legacy. Authority can be assigned, legacy must be earned. Authority comes with promotion, legacy comes through investment. In the Marine Corps, promotion was never simply about privilege, it was responsibility. Responsibility for the mission, for the standards, and responsibility for the Marines. Every promotion carried a greater obligation to prepare someone else to lead. That responsibility does not end when the uniform comes off. It follows us into our homes, our businesses, our churches, our communities. The Orca illustrates this beautifully. Its survival depends upon knowledge being transferred. The next generation is prepared, not merely present. That is legacy. A pod that intentionally develops others grows stronger every season. Many leaders become trapped by their own importance. They become so focused on being needed that they forget to prepare others to succeed without them. Eventually, they become the bottleneck. Real leadership requires enough humility to say, I want you to become strong enough that one day you won't need me. That's not losing influence, that is multiplying it. The fighter leader does not build followers. The fighter leader builds leaders. Leaderships and leaders who build leaders. That's how influence multiplies. Quietly, steadily, often without applause, because legacy is not loud. Legacy is lived. The wealth of the pod. When people hear the word wealth, they usually think about money. Money matters. It creates opportunities. It creates stability. It creates choices. But wealth is much larger than finances. Earl Nightingale describes success as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Success is not simply arriving, it is continually becoming. Napoleon Hill taught that no lasting success occurs without cooperation. His mastermind principle reminds us that people working together towards a worthy purpose accomplish more than any individual alone. Bob Proctor taught us that external results eventually reflect our internal beliefs. Healthy thinking produces healthy leadership. Healthy leadership produces a healthy culture. Dr. Hendrith Vineland Smith Jr. reminds us that lasting prosperity requires knowledge, ownership, discipline, stewardship, and long-term thinking. Those same principles define great leadership.
Trust is wealth. Character is wealth. Wisdom is wealth. Health is wealth. Relationships are wealth. Time is wealth. Integrity is wealth. No leader is self made. Every leader stands upon the investment of someone else. Parents, teachers, drill instructors, mentors, friends, sometimes even critics. The pod teaches us that true wealth is shared. It is protected together, passed to the next generation, and strengthened through discipline. The question is never simply, what can I gain? The better question is, what am I building that others can stand upon? That is the wealth of the pod. I'm the Orca. The fighter leader has never been about image. It has always been about substance. Not about being seen, about being prepared. Not about collecting followers, but about developing people. Throughout this fighter leader journey, nature has repeatedly reminded us that leadership is bigger than the individual. The Orca completes that lesson. It does not lead for applause. It leads so the pod survives. It teaches so knowledge is never lost. It protects because every member belongs. It moves with discipline, patience, confidence, and purpose. Becoming the Orca requires neither an ocean nor a Marine Corps uniform. It happens in everyday life, in business, homes, churches, schools, communities, everywhere people depend upon leadership. Leadership is not about becoming unforgettable. It is about preparing people who no longer need you. It is about leaving behind stronger families and stronger teams with stronger communities and stronger leaders. There will always be the temptation to pursue visibility. The fighter leader chooses responsibility instead. Responsibility to teach, responsibility to protect, responsibility to develop, and responsibility to leave everything stronger than it was found. That brings us full circle. Fighter leaders model the standard, take the hit, and pass the praise. Those are not only slogans, they are disciplines. The Orca is not simply a symbol of strength. It is a reminder that true leadership lives inside relationships, service, trust, and sacrifice. If there is one lesson to carry forward, let it be this: leadership is never measured by how many people followed you. It is measured by how many people became leaders because of you. That is legacy. That is the fighter leader. And that is the heart of the pod.